Away from that, a one-story building in the Garki area of Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory in Abuja has collapsed with many feared trapped under its rubble. The incident occurred at about 11 p.m. last night and had officials of the FCT Fire Service and the National Emergency Management Agency deployed to the scene to help rescue victims trapped under the collapsed building. Rescue officials on ground, however, refused to confirm the number of casualties, saying operations are ongoing. Meanwhile, the Minister of Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has called for the arrest of the owner of the collapsed three-story building at the Lagos Street within the city. Let's have a quick chat on this. Past chairman of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Bola Bido, has joined us now on the news for an expert perspective on this worrying development. Thank you so much, Bola, for your time here. In February and July, there were building collapses in Abuja. If you throw it back a bit more, you see that there have been increasing activities of collapsed buildings, so to speak, in the national capital. Here we are again, another collapsed building. And again, I'd just like to put out that since 2008, we've only seen the number of buildings collapse. 2023 having the worst numbers, about 3 so far, and and the year has not even ended yet. What factors do you believe have contributed to the recent rise in building collapses in the national capital?
Okay, thank you very much. I can hardly hear the question, but I can pick the direction in which you are going. But let's first of all sympathize and sympathize with those who have lost their loved one in this unfortunate incident that happened in Abuja recently, which is why what brought about these discussions. Basically, you know, the economy, the country we are in, there seems to be a lack of integrity in our processes generally. And you find out that when you look at the value chain that goes into the building construction, there are a lot of things that goes there that require people being truthful to the codes and standards that has to do with the building or the system in which they are designing. So number one is that we lack integrity in this country, and that pervades into everything that we do, right? Professionally, we know that we also have the issue of use of non-professionals in some of our building constructions. Because people want to cut costs, they don't want to pay for professionals, and they get the quack engineers, quack builder, quack surveyors, you know, to just get this thing together because they needed to pay something that they feel is affordable for them. And also another issue that also affects some of this collapse issue is the quality of material that we have. If you go out there, you find out that there are a lot of fake building materials there, especially the iron rod that are being used today across the country. You find out that most of them are not actually of the required gauge, even though they are labeled to be so. And it takes an experience, you know, an engineer to be able to pick some of these things. So for somebody who is not quite experienced, he picks it and he feels that he's getting the quality material that he needed based on what gauge that they say it is and all that. And also, there's the lack of expertise within the lower cadre of the value chain of workers within, you know, the construction industry. While the engineer is trained, maybe the architect is trained, the builders are trained, they have basic education, but the bricklayers, most of them are not trained. I mean, they learn this thing and then they are not even qualified. You know, a lot of them don't even complete their trade training before they venture out. So all these put together are factors that may be contributing to the recent collapsed buildings. That
and all of these things that you have mentioned, if we were talking about Lagos, it would have been very characteristic and it would have been easier to swallow. But this is the Federal Capital Territory. This is where you expect the seat of government to be, where things will be done right. What can be done to ensure that those who are supposed to go by the book are doing that? What can be done to ensure that these building materials that you talk about that are of substandard quality do not end up on the markets?
Okay, talking about what needed to be done. Firstly, there need to be strict enforcement of building codes, right? There need to be strict enforcement of building code, right? The agencies that are saddled with these responsibilities, from your design stage, they check for all these codes, the approval before you get to approval and all that. So government need to put in a lot of more resources into enforcing the building code. And those who are actually doing this enforcement also, they need to be well taken care of, in that anybody that is saddled with the responsibility of enforcing must be content in whatever they earn. If they are not content, the likelihood that they will be compromised is there. So government need to take care of these officers that are.
It would seem we lost the connection to Bola Bido, but thank you so much, Bola, for your time here on the news. We'll follow through the story in subsequent.